Welcome to the October 3rd, 2018 YourLIVINGBrand.live show. Good morning. My name is Ben Baker and my company is Your Brand Marketing. We help clients to stop being commodities and start being brands worth loving. And that's what this show is all about. This show is about who you are, what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, and most importantly, why they should care. Because when people care, you stop being a commodity. You stop being another price out there. You start being someone of value, someone that people call up and say, help. Can you help me? Can you come to the table and provide value? And that's what we all want. We want to be that person that people trust, that person of influence. And that's what I do every week. Every week on the YourLIVINGBrand.live show, we have another guest. And Howard Fox is my guest today. Howard helps people communicate more effectively on LinkedIn. He is a business coach and business consultant and helps people communicate their value in ways that their clients understand and want to engage with. So sit back, listen to the interview, and I'll be back after the show. Howard, it is great having you on the show today. Thanks for making the time to be with me.
Hey, Ben, it's my pleasure and looking forward to it. Thank you.
You know, he's coming great from this great state of Illinois, from Chicago. That's my dad's hometown. So it's nice. You know, it's a town that I dearly miss, and got to get back to really quickly.
Yeah, and just between the months of May and October. So
exactly. Now, February in Chicago, I've been there. It's not my favorite place to be. But then again, if somebody else is shoveling the snow, I'm good with it.
There you go.
If it's me shoveling the snow, it's a different story altogether.
Definitely.
So let's get into this. I mean, for those people who don't know about the show, it's all about how do you add value? How do you, communicate what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, and mostly why do these people care? So who's your audience? What's the story you tell? How do you help people? Tell me the story, Howard.
Well, my audience, I guess I should start before my audience. I mean, I'm a recovering IT business consultant.
Uh-huh.
And the reason that's important is in my consulting career, I went into it because that was just something that was available because I really didn't know what I want to do.
Right.
And I realized I was not passionate about the work that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was good at it, I guess, and I learned some skills that still serve what I do today. They inform what I do today. I also learned some of the applications that were available to me, and I know we'll talk more about that.
Right.
Specific application. But I really learned that I needed to be passionate not only about the work that I was doing, but also to feel in my heart, not in my head, but in my heart, that I was not only making a difference in my own life, but I also wanted to make a difference in the lives of the people that I came into contact with. And so I decided to get training as a professional coach, so doing leadership development, relationship coaching. And so that informs a lot of the work that I do today in my coaching work, and it also includes helping business owners, small business owners to be more exact, with growing their capacity for leadership for themselves within their teams, but also how to use principles of leadership and marketing to grow their business. Because if the business owner is happy, his business is growing, it's prospering, his clients are being served, his employees are happy, well, then great things start to happen. And so that's where my focus is lying.
Yeah, and that's important, is the fact that you went out and you actually became certified as a coach. I mean, the word coach has become, it's this ubiquitous term that everybody can sit there and put the word coach in front of them or behind their name and go out there and hang a shingle. But you know what? There is a real difference between the people who have actually gone out and gotten training, who've actually gotten certified, who actually, understand the principles behind coaching, and the people that just sit there and say, you know what, I've been in business for 20 years. I know how to coach people. And I'm not negating those people. I give coaching every once in a while, but I don't call myself a coach because I haven't actually gone out there and gotten certified. There's a big difference between the people that, have the practical knowledge and the people who got the practical knowledge and actually have gotten some training that goes with it. And that actual training that goes behind it really helps take people to the next level.
Almost definitely. I mean, there's nothing to minimize the value of experience in the school of hard knocks, and
Not at
to
all.
live through, situations where you came out the other end saying, I'm better for it. However, having a skill like coaching and going through the training, and my training was a year long,
Mm-hmm.
and it also includes being recertified every 3 years and having continuing education, mentoring, supervision.
Yeah.
And so it's not a one and done profession. And unfortunately, and you kind of alluded to it, there are programs out there where I can go away for a week, a month, maybe,
A
and
weekend.
I can become a coach.
Yes.
And I cringe at that. I mean, my personality is one of, being process and being seen as an expert in the work that I do. And so I couldn't imagine not having gone through a year-long coaching program, which was also a part of a master's degree at the same time.
Sure.
So that, I think, continued to serve me because it gave me what I would call, or what they would call, a scholar practitioner emphasis on coaching, or knowledge-based coaching, where
Yeah.
I'm learning about the various theories, and then depending on where my client is, help, and it starts with a discussion, but then also figuring out with him or her or the team, what tools do we need to bring to bear to help you, Mr. Client, solve the issues you're facing.
Sure. It's that combination of street sense and book sense.
Right.
And the combination of those two together, you're right. There's a lot of great people that are, taught coaches that give a lot of good information. They've gone through the school of hard knocks. But for the majority of us, having that, that book understanding of the principles behind and the psychology behind the, with the knowledge, the practical knowledge and the practical experience that you have, makes everybody better. It just raises the water for everybody. And
Right.
that's a great thing. So let's get into, a lot of what you do. I mean, LinkedIn is a real specialty of yours.
Yes.
And, and a lot of people say that. It says, oh, I'm a LinkedIn expert. Well, because I have a LinkedIn account. I have a LinkedIn account, so I'm a LinkedIn expert. I have a Facebook account. I'm a Facebook expert. I have a Twitter account. I'm a Twitter expert. But why do you call yourself a LinkedIn expert? What are the specialties you have within LinkedIn? How does that help your coaching clients, and how does that help your clients be better at what they do?
Sure. And that's a great question. And once again, I need to kind of create a little bit of context before I can answer that. So as a recovering IT business consultant, I started
using. Is there a 12-step process for that?
There should have been. There should have been. But I think it's great to say it, because
absolutely.
People at least know where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
I was one of the kind of initial users of LinkedIn when it came out as an application that was available, because IT professionals, I mean, they always know the latest and greatest tools.
Sure.
And everybody said, are you on LinkedIn? I said, well, no, you should be on LinkedIn. And then you start talking to people. You go to a conference, you work with your client, you take a class, and you say, are you on LinkedIn? Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So are you. Oh, we should connect. And you connect with somebody, nothing ever happens.
Right.
Then let's say something happens, you get laid off, or you're looking for a job, or you're looking to find somebody who can be on your project. Then all of a sudden you go out to LinkedIn, you say, who am I connected to?
Right.
And then maybe that person has the skills, maybe they need to refer you to somebody else because they know somebody. So now you've got the second, third degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing. But I was essentially collecting connections, which is what people still do, unfortunately, on LinkedIn, is they collect connections. And if they've had a LinkedIn account, they have no idea how to use it. And I see that all the time. When I started coaching, one of the first things that I did as I was starting training is I really needed to start to practice being a coach. That's the way you do it. And so I found a local nonprofit here in the city called the Career Transition Center of Chicago. It's probably the best deal in town. if you have been laid off or you don't have outplacement benefits,
Mm-hmm.
this is like the best deal in town, because you could go in, you could be coached, you can go get your resume worked on, you could practice your interviewing skills, you could discover, well, this is where my next career is going to be.
Right.
And one of the things we discovered in the career setting where you're looking for an opportunity is a lot of these folks didn't know how to network.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are very shy. It doesn't mean they can't hold a conversation, but they don't know how to network. They've never had to network because they always had the next job and opportunity
Right.
presented to them. And we realized, because of the downturn in the economy and the recession, things were really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we needed to help them, our clients, find a more effective way to network and to create or discover and then create opportunities. And no better way than LinkedIn, because Facebook doesn't do it for you. Twitter didn't do it for you. I don't know what other apps were out there at the time, but it was pretty much LinkedIn, because that was
Well, LinkedIn had the
the place.
business opportunity.
Yeah,
That's where you went for business connections. Period.
yeah.
And it pretty much is today.
Most definitely. And the problem that people had is their profiles looked very much like an electronic version of a resume.
Yes.
They had connections which they never cultivated,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't know how to use one of the most effective tools that LinkedIn has available to it, and that's the search engine.
Right.
LinkedIn, in my view, is not so much, and it's also a job board, but LinkedIn is a phenomenal research tool.
Oh,
That's if
amazing.
you go to my workshops, that's how I describe it. LinkedIn is a research tool. That search engine at the time, basic search, it was free. You could find potential people that you could reach out to,
Yeah.
connect with, start a conversation with, look for opportunities to have what we called informational interviews. As that kind of progressed and LinkedIn has expanded, especially now because they're owned by Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
the search engine is great, but the some of the advanced features of LinkedIn are now in subscription packages,
Yep.
specifically Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
And so helping my clients learn how to network and use LinkedIn. And I had a client that found a job and then called me up or emailed me a couple months later. Hey, I remember how much work you did with me on getting my LinkedIn profile and teaching me how to use it. My company needs this help too, because we
Right.
got a bunch of people. They've got customer facing positions, but they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
But they kind of instinctively think, I need to know how to do it. Can you come in and help them? And I tell you, Ben, I had this aha moment. Because everything that I was doing for a client who was out of a job looking for a next opportunity, I could apply to a business owner and his or her team, and how to cultivate and generate good quality leads for relationships and new business opportunities.
Yeah. Because the problem is that, first of all, businesses have to understand the value of social media. And
Exactly.
let's use LinkedIn. Forget the 10,000 different types of social media right there. Let's just focus on LinkedIn.
Right.
And if you look at LinkedIn as a way to be able to communicate the value of your brand effectively through the voices of your employees.
Mm-hmm.
And if your employees all understand, this is our social media policy, this is what we communicate, this is the brand, this is our vision, this is what we're trying to achieve, then the voice becomes elevated and expanded. And it's amazing the things that can happen when all of a sudden you have 20, 50, 100, 1,000 people out there communicating with their audiences in a way that's effective and valuable for your brand. Because all of a sudden, those people become advocates for your brand, and those people become champions for your brand, and they help create other champions for your brand.
You just hit it, like literally you just pounded that nail into the ground. One of the term I use is brand ambassador.
Yeah.
And if you as a business owner, as a company, have a strategy for using LinkedIn, and as you start to create valuable content in whether you post it as the marketing department or as an individual or on the company page. And then you get your brand ambassadors, your staff,
Yeah.
to then share that information with their connections
Mm-hmm.
to, hey, you should check out what we just wrote on our company page, or, the CEO just published this great article as a blog on LinkedIn. You should check it out. Now you are giving other people, these third degree, fourth degree connections, an opportunity to visit the CEO's profile,
Right.
to visit the company page, to start to follow them, like and comment what's being shared. And what you're creating, and if you do this consistently, whether it's once a week, a couple times a month, you're creating this little perpetual engine.
Yeah.
And once you start to do that, opportunity just kind of explodes.
But you also get the internal benefits that a
Mhm.
lot of companies forget about. The internal benefits are the fact that the employees feel engaged, they
Yeah.
feel needed, they feel valued, and they feel that they have a voice within the company. Even if it's just taking information that is created and be able to reshare it and say, we just wrote this piece and I think it's cool because, boom, and sending it out.
Mm-hmm.
It allows them to add their voice to something that is a corporate piece. And by adding it, it makes it real and human, and it allows them to feel that they are part of the solution. And when they feel part of the solution, they stay engaged. And guess what? They maintain their employment a lot longer. You stop getting this 18-month cycle where millennials sit there and go, well, I don't feel valued within this corporation. I'm leaving.
And I would add to that, because you're spot on how you've just described that. That employee who now feels engaged, feels a part of the big picture because he or she knows what our vision for the future is. That type of behavior, or the feeling, let's call it the kind of the heartfelt feeling, that then translates into their interactions with their customer.
Yes, it
And
does.
now you start to have signature experiences.
Yeah.
As the customer says, God, I buy from these guys all the time, and so just shared this great article with me, not because they're expecting, they're sharing this because they want my business. They're sharing it because they know I would be interested in this. And now when you attach that signature experience to the feeling of how the employee feels,
Yeah.
because sharing content is a part of their, part of their, I don't want to say expectation,
Yeah.
KPI, whatever you want to call it. They feel good about it. They know why they're doing it and why it's important for themselves and for their company.
And people want to do business with companies where their employees feel proud of being part of that company.
Most definitely.
And if people are proud to share things, and if people are proud to talk about what's going on within the company, customers pick up on that.
Oh, yes.
Customers absolutely pick up on it. I mean, in my book, the book that's coming out in September, Powerful Personal Brands, it's all about that. It's being able to understand, codify, and communicate your value, whether that's your corporate value, your personal value. And the more you can get people to understand, listen, and engage, the better off life is. And that's the beautiful thing about social media. My biggest pet peeve on social media is somebody sends me a connection request. Mm-hmm. I send them, thanks for joining, love to find out a little bit more about you, and you get radio silence.
Right.
People just want another person on their list. They want to know somebody that has 3,500 connections. They want to know somebody that's got 10,000 connections or 20,000 connections, and all they're trying to do is build their connection count themselves. Guess what? The person who dies with the most connections, does not win. It's really that simple. And I'd much rather have a smaller, more powerful, more connected, client base that I actually engage with, than to have 30,000 connections that I have absolutely no relationship to.
Ben, I feel like we've kind of done this before in this conversation, because I firmly believe, especially for my clients, it's quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
And I often, that same scenario, you get radio silence, or right away they're already into the sale.
Oh yeah.
Or they don't send me an invitation to connect without having first visited my profile. So somehow they figured, oh, I'm just going to send a connection. Now, maybe they don't know how to send a note. That's a training issue.
Mm-hmm.
Or even when they send a note, the note is really a predecessor to the selling email message. And it's like, dude, I want you to visit my profile. I want you to know what I do.
Yeah.
I want your invitation to connect to, you only have 300 characters, so there's a limit. But I want you to know what I do, and I want you to structure your invitation so that it gives me a reason to want to connect with you.
That's right. You're a cat lover. I'm a cat lover. Let's connect. It could be something as silly as that. But but people who just hit the connect button and it says, this person wants to connect with you on LinkedIn. Well,
Right.
Why? Why does this person want to connect with me? What's the reason to connect with these people? Who do I know that they know? Why do we have a connection? Where have they looked at an article that I've written lately and they found that interesting and then they want to connect? Tell me a 300 character story.
Right.
Tell me why you want to connect with me. Tell me, why you were interested in what I had to write. Tell me why you think that I'm an interesting person to you. And then we can talk about the value that we have to each other. Because I'm sure there is, but it can't just be a way to sell me. It's got to be a way to build a connection. You're not going to, meet somebody on the street and all of a sudden go right into a sales pitch. You want to get to know somebody first.
And that's
Think of
really
social media the same way.
Yeah. And that's where, having content that, sharing third-party content is great, but if you can craft your own,
Absolutely.
and it doesn't have to be exceptionally long. It could be 500 characters, but something that's meaningful, insightful, conveys a message, and it really shares, hey, I care about you as you're my connection, and I want it, and here, this is for you. Now, you're going to have a nice call to action in that message as well, but that's what you're trying to create. But if there's this expectation, oh, he's just trying to sell me something, or I never hear from him again, that's just like, you're out of here.
Yeah. So I got a question for you. Since you're such a LinkedIn fan, what do you think about the new QR codes? The new, the click here and connect with me via the social media, app.
I being a former recovering IT business consultant, I think we are just inundated with the latest, greatest bells and whistles. And I see this when I log into my Chase bank account. I'm sorry, Chase, but your user experience is not making me warm and fuzzy. I don't want to constantly get the latest bell and whistle. I just wanted, I know how I like to do things, and to a certain extent, it's the old-fashioned way. It's probably one of those things I just have to sit down and kind of get used to doing. But if it helps me look at a profile, if it helps me send a customized invitation to connect, and I'm all over it. And if it makes my life a little bit easier, then I would start to embrace it. But I am not the early adopter of technology. I'm kind of like a little late coming in because I want to see what everybody else's reaction is.
Yeah, my thing is, I went to a networking event the other day. I was teaching at SFU. Right. And I teach a course on networking there, and we have a mock networking session, and everybody was bringing out their phone and they say, well, we want to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Right.
And I went, okay. So it was interesting. And all of a sudden I realized I had 20 or 30 people that wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn on QR codes. I went, fine, I'll connect with these people. It's fun. We'll do it there. But I realized at the end of the day, I obviously had 30 new connections on LinkedIn. I had no idea who these people's names were. I had no idea how to connect with them again. I had no idea what they did, where they came from, what their passions were, what would the hook be that I would call them back and sit there and say, how can I help you? Right. Where in the olden days, I would grab a business card, I would write a note, it would go into my CRM, I'd put the note in my contact relationship manager, and 3 weeks later, or 2 weeks later, or 2 days later, depending on what it was, I'd get back in touch with them and says, you know what, we were at this event together, this is what we talked about. I'd love to go out for coffee.
Right.
But if you just hit the QR code, yes, the information is in your database, but how do you find it?
Yeah. There's a new group that's starting. Well, they've started globally. It's called Linked Local, and then you put the city. And so Link Local Vancouver, Link Local Chicago. So you go there, and there's this little feature on your smartphone where you could basically query and turn on your Bluetooth. Who else is on LinkedIn that's in your vicinity? And it's
Right.
typically everybody. And
Yeah.
then you can kind of go down the list and connect, which is then doing the thing that I don't like, which is sending a vanilla invitation, because I want
Exactly.
to customize the experience when I connect with somebody.
Yeah.
But there's this feeling, this perception from the powers that be in the technology world that we always need to have the latest, greatest, fastest way to do things. And again, I guess I never thought I would say this, but somebody that just went to his 40th class reunion, high school reunion, I guess I am a little old school.
Hey, I'm proud of it. I'm I may be high tech. I may know a lot of things about technology, but when it comes to how I use technology, sometimes I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I don't see technology the same way as a 20-year-old would,
Right.
and that's okay.
Well, they're all doing the videos, and I noticed I just got in your email about doing captioning on LinkedIn videos,
Yeah.
which I'm going to go and listen to. But I'm a big proponent of like Facebook Live and these types of interviews, because I know you're going to post this up to, I think I know, a YouTube channel, then you're going to share
Absolutely.
the code. It's going to either go into an article, it's going to go different places. I'm all for that. I love being in front of the camera, but unless the LinkedIn video, which a lot of the younger kids are doing, it's like, okay, I mean, I guess I need to create a business plan around why I want to do that and what's the end
It's
goal.
content creation with a purpose.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your content is. It doesn't matter if it's a tweet, a LinkedIn post, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a strategy of who you're trying to communicate what to whom, you're in trouble.
And that's your story brand. I mean, you got to have that. If you
got to
don't,
have that brand story. You got to absolutely have that brand story, because if you're trying to be everything to everybody, nobody will ever care about you.
No.
You got to know who your audience is, and you got to communicate effectively to them, because even Coca-Cola doesn't have 100% penetration.
No.
So listen, I got one last question for you.
Sure.
And then we're going to make sure that people know how to get in touch with you, because that's the important thing.
Of course.
Now, when you walk out of a meeting and you get in your car and you drive away, what's the number one thing you want people to think about you when you're not in the room?
What's the number one thing I want people to think about me? I want them to feel that he understood what I was sharing with him. So being understood my issue, my problem, he understood it and was willing to listen and ask questions to uncover or unpack, peel back the onion, as my girlfriend would say, but understood what my issues were. And we really appreciated that, because the other people come in and they're just trying to tell you all the bells and whistles and how great we are. Howard took the time to understand what the issues we were facing were.
That's great. So Howard, what's the best way that people can get in touch with you?
Well, the best way, certainly on LinkedIn. So it's all my URLs end the same way, with Fox Coaching Inc. So Howard Fox. My URL ends in Fox Coaching Inc. My website is foxcoaching.com, and I'm on Twitter, Facebook. I've got Facebook pages, Fox Coaching Inc. So those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
Perfect. And we'll make sure that your website is attached to this so everybody can get a hold of you.
Appreciate that, Ben.
All right. Howard, thanks for being on the show. Hang out in the green room a second. I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody, and I'll be right back.
Thanks again.
All right. Take care. I want to thank you for being on the show today. Every week we interview another guest, and Howard was great. Howard helped us understand that content is king. If we can come up with valuable content, the right content sent to the right people in the right way, we're going to be able to communicate our value, and people are going to understand why they should do business with us and not do business with everybody else. My name is Ben Baker, and my company is Your Brand Marketing. Now, we consult, we do keynotes, and we do workshops on brand, message, market, vision, and value. We want to help you stop being a commodity and start being a brand worth loving. We want to be there to help you communicate the value of your brand and tell your brand story. Come visit us at www.yourbrandmarketing.com. But every Wednesday at 10 o'clock on the West Coast, this is the YourLIVINGBrand.live show. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.